You know that feeling, right? Payday hits, there's this glorious number in your bank account. And then maybe just a few days later, it's like, poof, where did it all actually go? It's that classic disappearing paycheck act. So many people feel this.
It really is a common scenario. And, whether you're knee-deep in trying to sort out your finances or just scratching your head wondering why this keeps happening, that fast evaporation of cash, it can be, well, really frustrating.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. We've gone through some really interesting material that gets right into this whole paycheck disappearing act.
Right.
And maybe more importantly, gives you some solid ways to stop it from happening.
Yeah, the goal here is understanding why your hard-earned money seems to vanish so fast.
Okay.
And then giving you the tools, the knowledge to keep more of it working for you.
Makes sense. So where do we start? What's the first big reason?
Well, the research we looked at points to several key things, but a really big one is something called lifestyle inflation.
Lifestyle inflation.
Okay. Basically, the core idea is as your income goes up, your spending tends to follow right along with it, often without you even really making a conscious choice.
Right, right. So it's not just about prices going up for essentials.
Yeah.
It's more about wanting more stuff or fancier stuff because you can technically afford it now.
Precisely, yeah. So for instance, the data suggests even a pretty small raise, maybe say $50 extra per paycheck, that can lead to a similar jump in just, discretionary spending. Maybe it means more trips to the coffee shop or more takeout or just clicking buy now online a bit more often.
Yeah, the classic treat yourself mentality kicks in hard. You get that little bit extra, and it suddenly feels totally justifiable to spend a bit more here and there.
Exactly.
But those little justifications, I
Right.
guess they can really snowball, can't they?
Oh, absolutely. They really can. The material we looked at even talks about this sort of justification trap.
Okay.
You start to feel like, hey, I deserve a nicer car. I deserve more dinners out just because the income's grown. Right.
And finding that balance, between enjoying the fruits of your labor and actually sticking to your bigger financial goals. That's the tricky part.
Yeah, that balance is key. Okay, what else? There's another one that feels very relatable from the sources. The instant gratification trap. I definitely feel this one sometimes.
Oh, it's a powerful psychological pull, for sure. Receiving that paycheck, it triggers this feeling of reward, right?
Yeah.
A sense of accomplishment. And that can create this really immediate urge to spend it on something that gives you a quick hit of satisfaction. Like studies on dopamine show this link between buying things or even just thinking about buying things and pleasure.
That makes total sense. That impulse buy the new shoes, the gadget you just saw, give you that little buzz right away. The research mentioned examples like, always needing the newest phone model or signing up for all the streaming services. Feels great in the moment.
And this is what the material we looked at really hammers home, the immediate pleasure. It's often pretty short-lived.
Yeah. The more enduring reward, the stuff that actually lasts, that seems to come from having financial security, that feeling of freedom. It's about kind of reframing what reward really means. Is it the quick buy or is it knowing you're secure?
So that urge to splurge feels good now.
Yeah.
But the real reward, the longer lasting one, is actually seeing savings grow or knowing you've got a safety net.
Interesting. Okay, what about those little things that nibble away at your account? The sources called them the sneaky little bills. I think I know what these are.
Yes. These are those small recurring subscription fees that honestly often fly totally under the radar.
Like streaming services.
Exactly. Streaming. Apps you pay for monthly, maybe that gym membership you swore you'd use 5 times a week.
Guilty.
Individually, the cost looks tiny, right? Maybe $9.99 here, $4.99 there.
Yeah, you think, oh, it's nothing. But when you actually sit down and add up all those different subscriptions, wow, it can turn into a surprisingly big chunk of your monthly income. A silent drain, really, because you don't notice each small transaction. The research definitely suggests that just doing a quick audit of those recurring payments is often a super effective first move to free up some cash.
Just seeing them all listed out can be an eye-opener.
It really can be. These seemingly minor amounts, they compound over time. Trimming even just a couple can make a bigger difference than you might think initially.
Okay, and then there's the stuff you just can't avoid, right? The curveballs, emergency purchases. Your car breaks down, the boiler goes.
Precisely. Yeah, no matter how well you plan or budget, unexpected things just happen. Appliance breakdowns, urgent medical stuff, vet bills.
Yeah.
These things can pop up and just absolutely wipe out your available cash pretty quickly. It's a huge source of stress for a lot of people.
It totally throws a wrench in the works. You feel like you're doing okay, finally getting ahead, and then bam, big unplanned bill. And this is where that idea of an emergency fund comes in, which the sources really stress, don't they?
Oh, massively, yeah. Building that emergency fund, it can feel really tough, especially if you're feeling that paycheck to paycheck pinch already.
Sure.
But honestly, even having a small amount saved up acts as this critical buffer. It stops those financial shocks from completely derailing you or forcing you into, say, high interest debt.
Right. It gives you some breathing room.
Good.
Okay, so we've got a clearer picture of why the money seems to vanish. Lifestyle inflation, instant gratification, those sneaky subscriptions, and unexpected emergencies.
Yep, those are some major culprits.
So now, the crucial bit. How do we actually make the paycheck stick around longer? The material we looked at had some really practical, actionable strategies, and the first one sounds foundational, really tracking your spending, like everything.
This really is the bedrock. You absolutely have to know where the money is going. You know the saying, you can't manage what you don't measure?
Yeah.
It's totally true here. The research really underscores how important it is to monitor every single expense, no matter how small. That 3-pound coffee, the 2-pound snack at the petrol station, every little online click.
It sounds a bit tedious, maybe, but it makes sense. How can you change anything if you don't know the starting point?
Exactly.
The sources mentioned some apps, right?
Yeah.
Like Mint, YNDB, Pocket Guard. Tools to help with this.
Yeah, there are lots of great tools out there now that can automate a lot of this tracking. They categorize things for you, give you visuals.
Makes it easier.
Definitely. And once you have that data, that clear picture, you can start to see the patterns. You can pinpoint, okay, wow, I spend way more on lunches out than I realized, or, maybe I don't need 3 music streaming services. You can make informed choices.
Okay, so track everything. Got it. Strategy number 2, making a realistic budget. And I think that word realistic is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
It absolutely is.
Because I know I've tried budgets in the past that were just way too strict, impossible to actually live with.
That's such a common experience. A budget shouldn't feel like a punishment or, some kind of financial straitjacket.
Right.
It needs to be a plan that actually works for your life, your real income, your actual expenses, your goals.
So what does a realistic one look like, according to the research?
Well, it emphasizes covering your necessities, obviously rent, utilities, food, transport. But crucially, it also needs to intentionally allocate money for discretionary spending for fun.
Okay, so you don't feel totally deprived.
Exactly. And importantly, for savings. Some sources mention things like the 50-30-20 rule as a starting point. 50% needs, 30% wants, 20% savings, or debt paydown. But the key is tailoring it.
Tailoring it to you. And the goal isn't just like getting to zero at the end of the month. It's actually having money left over.
That's the objective. Having money remaining that you can actively choose where it goes towards savings, towards debt, towards investments.
Got it. Okay, which leads nicely to the next strategy.
Yeah.
Building that emergency fund we talked about.
Yes, back to the emergency fund. The research really highlights just how vital this is for just peace of mind, really. Financial security.
Stops those unexpected things from becoming total catastrophes.
Exactly. It prevents those derailments. And many experts suggest aiming for, eventually maybe 3 to 6 months worth of essential living expenses in that fund.
Whoa, okay, that sounds like a lot if you're starting from zero.
It can feel daunting, absolutely. But the emphasis is always on starting small. Seriously, don't feel discouraged.
Right.
Even putting aside, say, 20 pounds or 50 pounds each payday consistently. That's a fantastic start. It builds that habit, and it creates that initial cushion.
Every little bit helps build that safety net. Okay, what else?
Okay, another really effective technique highlighted quite a bit in the sources is automation. Automating your savings and your bill payments.
Ah, yes, I'm a big fan of automation. Set it and forget it, kind of.
Pretty much. It takes the willpower aspect out of saving, which can be hard. By setting up an automatic transfer, maybe the day after you get paid from your current account straight into your savings account.
Right.
You're essentially paying yourself first. The money's put aside for your future before you really have a chance to spend it elsewhere.
Smart. And automating bills, too.
Yeah, definitely recommended. Ensures your essentials get paid on time, you avoid late fees, protect your credit score. It just smooths out the whole process. Less stress, less to think about.
Puts the important stuff on autopilot. Okay, now here's an interesting one the sources mentioned. Trying out no-spend days. that sounds challenging.
It can be a bit of a mindset shift, yeah. But the material presents it as a surprisingly powerful way to get a grip on impulse spending.
So what's the idea? Just don't spend anything.
Well, not anything. Usually essentials like commuting costs are okay. But the core idea is to pick, say, 1 or 2 days a week where you consciously decide not to spend any money on non-essential things.
Okay, so no coffees out, no lunches bought, no online shopping.
Exactly. And like you mentioned earlier, meal planning becomes really helpful here.
Ah, right. If you've got food at home, you're less tempted to grab takeout.
Precisely. It forces a bit more mindfulness. And honestly, you might be surprised how much you save just by having those couple of designated days where the wallet stays shut for non-essentials.
I can actually see that. Skipping that daily latte twice a week. That adds up quickly, over a month. Okay, interesting tactic. What's the final piece of advice?
The final key strategy the research emphasizes is focusing on your long-term financial goals.
Okay, how does thinking about the future help my paycheck last longer now?
Well, the idea is if you keep your big aspirations front and center, maybe saving for a deposit on a house, paying off all your debt, being able to retire comfortably, it makes it psychologically easier to resist those small, immediate, often less meaningful impulse buys.
Ah, I see. It gives you a bigger why.
Exactly. It provides a sense of purpose. You start seeing your spending choices through the lens of, does this help me get closer to my big goal, or does it push it further away?
So instead of the quick, fleeting buzz from buying something small now,
Yeah.
you're focusing on the much bigger, more satisfying reward of hitting those major life milestones down the road. That's quite a powerful mental shift.
It really is. It reframes your paycheck. It's not just money to burn through before the next one arrives. It's a tool, a resource to actively build the future you want.
Well, this has been incredibly insightful. It really sounds like stopping that paycheck Houdini act is definitely possible. It's not magic. It's about understanding yourself, understanding where the money actually goes, and then putting these practical steps in place, tracking everything, making a budget that actually works for you, building that emergency buffer.
Using automation to make saving easier, maybe trying those no-spend days to curb impulses.
And always keeping those bigger long-term goals in mind.
Precisely. It boils down to making conscious, informed choices and taking proactive steps to manage your money instead of letting it manage you. It's about working towards that greater financial well-being.
Absolutely. So to everyone listening, maybe the next time that paycheck notification pops up, take a moment. Think about these strategies. Don't let it just vanish. Take these insights, figure out what works for you, and start making that money work for your goals, for your future. It's definitely time to make sure that paycheck sticks around a bit longer.